All right, everybody, welcome to Success Stories with Shane. This is officially our second episode of this. We did the first one last month, kind of just introducing what the show was going to be about and some of the different topics that we are going to cover throughout. And so, in this week, I thought it would be a great way to start off with just kind of some basics that we hear questions from the dental community about, 2021, getting your marketing right, attracting new patients. How are we going to take that step as we've wrapped up Q1 going into the second quarter of the year? And what do we need to do from a marketing perspective, from a growth, because that's something that's fun and people like to talk about a lot. So what I'm going to do today is break down kind of a part one of how you should be attracting new patients in 2021. And then this is a monthly segment that we do. So next month, I'll have part two of that segment. And of course, any questions that you have, you can put in the comments down below, and we'd be happy to answer those after the stream and really just give you guys as much insight as possible. So starting out here, I just, for those who didn't catch the first episode, who are new to me, I'll just give a quick little synopsis before we start. I won't be doing this every week, just kind of here for the first few weeks. So who am I? My name is Shane Simmons. I'm the founder of Crimson Media Dental Marketing. And I'm also the host of a podcast, Nothing But the Tooth Dentistry Podcast, where we talk about everything from marketing to leadership to systems, you name it. And, obviously, we've been a Dental Nacho's key resource for some time now. I've known Paul and the team for several years. We've been out to Philly at some of their different in-person events back when we could do those. So really feel like that, I'm a part of this Dental Nacho's community as it's seen it grow. And really our main thing that we do is just help dentists build freedom in their practice. And that's through putting a new patient acquisition system in place that's generating new patients online so that they don't have to solely rely on internal referrals in the practice. So today, start out from the very basics of your patient and the patient out there. How do you get seen? How does your practice get seen? In the patient's eyes, they're going to be, one, if they're doing a search looking for a new dentist, orthodontist, etc., they got to be able to find you, obviously, first and foremost. But once they find you, they've got to see, you have some credibility in their eyes. Do you match with their alignment of what they expect in a dental practice? Do you have, reviews? What are people saying about you? Where are you located? All of these things kind of play a factor in deciding how a patient decides the right dental practice for them. And so to kind of break this down, some data, 7 out of 10 people actually use an online search engine to find their healthcare provider. And that was through Pew Research a couple of years ago. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that number is higher now. So, when we're talking about growing the practice, you have your internal referrals, which is awesome. And I always recommend people build that system up. But once you hit kind of a wall in your internal referrals, you have to start going external and looking for patients. And that's where this visibility really comes into play. So those who, rank the highest in, a search result on Google, those type of things, they're going to receive the majority of the traffic. I'm sure you probably see different dental practices in your community that online, they seem like they're just everywhere. And you're thinking to yourself, how are they doing that? And that's going to be something that we talk about today, because ultimately what happens is the more traffic that you are getting to your practice's online presence, that's going to equal more new patient opportunities for you. The practice who only gets 25 people to their website per month versus the practice that gets 250 people to their website per month obviously is going to have different opportunities and a higher volume of opportunities to convert that traffic into new patients. So this is a trend that we continue to see happening in the online space here even in 2021. This is one of my favorite charts that I like for everyone to kind of take a look at to understand the patient's journey, because sometimes we think, oh, the patient, they come to our website, then they make an appointment. But in all reality, what happens is the patient hits a bunch of different spots, right? They may do a Google search. They may then, hear about a practice through word of mouth. They may see something on social media. They go and check their insurance site to see if you're in network with their insurance. Then they go check the reviews. Then maybe they go to the website and then schedule an appointment. So there's a lot of different things that the consumer is doing before they just schedule an appointment. I mean, think about anything that you do in your life. You have so many options out there and so much information that you rarely just go and select the first thing you see. You obviously do a little bit of research in that time to see whether or not the business that you are considering going to is going to be a good fit for you. So essentially, there's two keys to your digital search presence that I'm really going to talk about today. Number one, pretty self-explanatory. Is your website modern, and is it mobile friendly? More people are using their phones to do searches, to find whatever it is, restaurants, dental practices, you name it. A lot of them are doing that on their phones. So you've got to make sure you're mobile friendly. But the second part of that is, can patients find your practice when they're on Google, which we've talked about how important Google is and how many people actually go to Google to find a healthcare provider. And there's two sides to Google. There's organic, and then there's paid ads. So with today's kind of conversation, we're going to talk more on the organic side, and then part two, we'll go into some of the paid ads on the next episode. But here's just a brief website checklist that you can kind of have for yourself here in ensuring that your website has a solid foundation for any sort of online marketing or presence that you're going to be wanting to do moving forward. Obviously, we just talked about being mobile friendly. You need to have clear call to actions in the website. Right when someone clicks on your site, there should be a clear call to action to call, book an appointment, a consultation, etc., right at the top before they even have to scroll down. You should have call tracking implemented on your site, so that way you can determine where traffic is coming from, and really be able to put a dollar figure to that. As you go along, several months pass, you can say we generated X amount of production from people who found us on an online search. So having call tracking implemented, super important. I'm huge on video, and I know Paul and a lot of the people in the nachos community are as well. Having video that highlights what makes your practice different. And this is something that, I always recommend having something professionally done to live on the website, and then doing more informal, cell phone type video for your social media channels. But having something there that kind of gives a little idea of who you are, the practice culture, what makes you different, having some of that live right at the top of the site. And then obviously, an optimized website for Google. Do you show up when someone searches dentist in your city or community or zip code? And we're going to go in depth on some of that information here in this presentation. One quick little thing, an example I highly, highly, highly recommend people do now is have a video banner on your site. Like you see here, the video is not moving because it's a still shot of this. But the kind of sites where you go to and you see like that video banner right at the top. That is a great way to start engaging visitors right away, and also separate yourself from a traditional dental practice where you don't typically see this, and you may see like a stock photo or something of someone smiling or brushing their teeth or whatever. This is a great way to stand out. And again, I highly, highly suggest having a video banner to capture that attention. It's kind of a hack, really, right away to capture somebody's attention. So, we talked about, can patients find you online via organic, via paid search? Most of you know what all of this, kind of means, or the differences. But for those of you who may not know, obviously your ads are always going to be at the very top of the search results, and it will say ad next to that, and you'll pay every time somebody clicks on your ad. Again, we're going to talk about ads in part 2 of Success Stories with Shane next month. Below that is the local 3-pack results, or snack pack as Google calls it. A lot of that's location-based, review-based, but also ties into your organic SEO. And then right below that is what's considered the organic results, which is what we're really going to hammer in and talk about today, because that's still where the majority of the traffic is going. So many of you probably heard of search engine optimization, SEO. I always tell people it's the best long-term investment you can make in your dental practice, because once you rank organically in the search results, it becomes a kind of like a flywheel that starts referring you new patients. Obviously, the benefits of that is you're not paying for those clicks when you rank organically. It's organic for a reason. You build instant credibility with searchers, because think about it. When we do a search for such and such near me, or best dentist near me, whatever the case is, the top results, people a lot of times equate to being the best, even though they may not be doing the best dentistry. But if their online presence is strong, people assume if you're at the top of Google, you are the best. And so it does build credibility with the people doing the search when your site ranks high. And then obviously you're going to get more traffic if you rank in those top 3 positions in the organic search results. More traffic means more opportunity for new patients. Now, this is the part where, if you screenshot this, take notes, go back, mark this to rewatch it. This is your organic SEO checklist. So whether you're doing your SEO yourself, you have a company doing it for you, or you're interested in doing this, this is the things that you need to really consider to set that foundation, that groundwork to giving your website the best opportunity to rank in the organic search results. Number 1 is meta titles. What is a meta title? Well, a meta title is if you were to go to Google right now and you were to search dentist in your city, and the search results pop up, the text at the very top, like it's usually like blue text in Google, that is your meta title. You need to have your keywords worked in that meta title. So dentist in Philadelphia, for example, and then usually have your name after that, 5-star practice, your name after it. But having those keywords right at the beginning of that title is a huge benefit to the search results. And that's one of the main factors that Google's going to look at when deciding whether or not your site should rank for those keywords. So meta title. Meta description is the text just below that you see in the search results, where it's smaller text. There's more words. It usually is describing the practice, the website, etc. Again, you want to have some keywords that you would be targeting: dentist in your city, best dentist in your city, that sort of thing, in that meta description, because that's, again, something that Google crawls and looks at to determine whether or not it's going to rank your website. The next part is pretty obvious. Keywords that you want to show up for in the search results need to be distributed throughout your website. And they need to be done, though, in a way that's natural. There's something called keyword stuffing, which back in the day, a lot of marketing companies would do this, where they would just stuff a bunch of different keywords throughout the site. It wasn't natural sounding, it was just words were like out of place, but they just stuck them in there and it would rank. And Google obviously got smart and realized people were doing that, and so quickly shut that down. And so you need to have keywords worked throughout your website, but done in a natural way that looks natural to the search engines and fits in the context of what you're doing. The next part is, it's called H1, H2, H3 tags. And what these are basically headings on the site. The headings, usually start with an H1 on your site, you move down to an H2, H3, and they're kind of in order of importance of the content on the page. And having keywords worked throughout those headers, particularly the H1 and the H2s, or the most important content on the site, is super important. So making sure that you have these things in check and in line with the keywords that you're wanting to search or be popping up for in the search results. Optimizing your image is the next part. And this is really simple. Any image that you have uploaded onto your site, say it's a photo of the team, the file name when you upload that photo should be like for example, say photo, and then you would put dash between each word. So instead of a space, you'd put a dash, photo dash of dash, whatever your practice name is, dash team. And what that does is that allows Google to know what your image actually is, because Google can't see the image itself. It reads the text behind what the image is, which also goes into what's called alt text, which basically is a small description of what the image is itself. So making sure that your images are labeled is something that's super easy to do, and that they have a description on the back end so that Google actually knows what it is. Load speed, if your website's slow, you're more than likely not going to be able to rank, because at the end of the day, Google wants to provide the best user experience as possible, and a slow load time on your site is more than likely going to mean people are going to get frustrated while everything's trying to load, and they're going to go back and go to a different site. So making sure that your website is quick, and there are things that you can do, such as like compressing images down, and that sort of thing that can really speed up a site. And then the last part of this, is kind of off the site. Everything I've talked about has been more so on the site, but off the site is, do you have links pointing to your site? And the best way you can think about this is sites, for example, like Crimson Media, our company, Dental Nachos on their website has a link to our website. And what that does is that tells Google, oh, Crimson Media must be super relative for dental marketing terms that are on their site, because this other dental website's linking to them. We get a boost in the search rankings for that. Same thing with your practice. I mean, there are so many different sites out there that you can get listed on. Yelp, which I know a lot of people hate Yelp, but at least having your listing on there. Pages like Yellow Pages, for example. There's a bunch of different like directory type sites. And what that does is that sends a signal to Google that, oh, if all of these websites are linking to this website, it must be a legitimate business, it must be super relative to dentistry, dental terms, and you get authority within the search engine, and that starts to pop up your search result ranking. So that's usually the number one thing that I see people not do, is they might have a great website and they have optimized it, and they think they've been doing SEO, but they actually don't really have any external links pointing to their site, which at the end of the day means the website is really capping out, and it doesn't have a lot of credibility in the eyes of the search engine. So making sure that you have links pointing to your site is super important. This is some examples of kind of the success that you can have when you put these factors in together. This particular graph that you're seeing was dentist in a particular town in New Jersey. So it was dentist, that town, and then NJ. Obviously, I'm just going to protect the confidentiality here for the client. But when they started, before the site was kind of like optimized and everything, in July of last year, you can see where the graph is on the far left side. They were hovering kind of at the bottom of page 1, kind of page position 7, position 8, position 9. And as you can see, the rankings started to go up, and it's like the stock market, as I tell people with Google rankings. Rarely does it just shoot straight up. It usually goes up a little, down a little, up a little, down a little, and then you continue to see that trend move upwards if you're doing it correctly. And this site, went from in July to, whatever this was, I think it was in October when they finally hit number 1, dropped down a little bit, and then went back up to number 1. Started, seeing massive amounts of traffic coming to their site, and obviously more new patients from that, because they went from ranking at the bottom of page 1 to the top of page 1 from getting their optimization, getting their search right. Here's another term. This was best dentist near me for a client in their town. As you can see, they went from like position 7 to position number 1 from July to April. They hit position 2 in October of last year. Again, same thing. Got their on-site optimization right, built a solid foundation, and then started getting links from different directory sites and things that started to really boost that credibility. And now they're ranking number 1 for best dentist near me. And you can see that trajectory happen. Again, kind of just one more here. This was a dentist in a kind of a smaller community where there wasn't as much competition, weren't as many dentists. So they were ranked kind of at position 5 when we started working there. We put that foundation in place and did everything that we kind of just talked about and shot up to number 1. Hence, they've started seeing a lot more new patients from their organic search side of things. So what I'm trying to say in all of this, in summary, is you have to be, visible. The more visible you get online, I mean, the internet's not going away. You need to own the space. And the great thing about this is in dentistry, you are still very much, we're still very much in the early stages of dental practice, really utilizing online marketing. It's been around, but just now are we getting to the point where it's starting to really take off. So you have an opportunity for your dental practice to really own that space and generate new opportunities that's going to set your practice up for success moving forward in the future. So really concentrate on being visible in the digital world. Concentrate on building an online presence, getting your not only your internal referrals that you have, but being able to build off of that externally online, putting content out there, being sure that you're ranking well in the organic search results in Google, taking action. And this is, again, just kind of the step 1, part 1 of the success stories with Shane, where we're going to dive deeper into content that you can be creating and putting out there, how you can use not only organic search, but paid advertising and combine those things together. We're going to be bringing on guests who have implemented these strategies and who have been knocking it out of the park and sharing advice with all of you on how you can do this in your practice. So again, before we do all that, we kind of have to set the groundwork on what we need to do to build upon that. And that's really what this kind of part 1 of this Success Stories with Shane is all about. So we will be bringing on guests talking about some of the things that they've done from an online perspective, where they've invested, what they've seen from that, some different content hacks, if you will, that you can use in your own dental practice. Because at the end of the day, when you're wanting to build that online presence, it's just about setting up a plan, setting up goals, and taking actions, and remembering that anything that you do that's going to build long-term sustainability in your practice, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're looking for something where you're just going to double your practice overnight, this isn't the route to go. But if you're wanting something that's going to have growth over a long period of time, then online marketing, getting that together is going to be super imperative for your practice. So I'm going to wrap up this episode now with just saying, if you have any questions whatsoever, I think there's some information the Nachos team will have probably in the comments below. But Crimson Media is our company. Feel free to reach out to us. Let us know that Dental Nachos and Paul Goodman sent you. If you want an analysis of your practice, online marketing presence, you can always reach out to us, and we do those absolutely for free as well. But next time around here on Shane's Picks, so for May, we will be talking about part 2 of getting your online marketing right in 2021, where we'll dive more into some paid ads and some things that you can do to increase your new patient acquisition through paid ads, and some little tweaks that you can make that a lot of practices don't know about. So we'll be talking about that on part 2. So thank you everybody who's watched this. Tune in. Really appreciate it. Leave any comments, questions down below. If there's any specific topics that you want us to hit on Success Stories with Shane outside of marketing, systems, leadership, whatever it is, feel free to put that down below. Otherwise, we will see you guys next time here on Success Stories with Shane.